want to bring up an idea that perhaps at the onset seems like I'm saying the same thing twice. But if we are careful about how we define it, you'll see that there's two very different ideas at play here. And one of them is super important if you really want to achieve things that are at the very highest end of your ability, or perhaps even stretching you a little bit to reach outside of what you think your abilities are. And so the ideas I want to consider are self-esteem and self-image. And I want to focus on self-image and I want to disregard self-esteem. So first of all, we have to make a distinction between the two. And for the purpose of what I'm talking about, just go with me and accept these definitions. Even if you think they're the same thing, that's fine. You can argue that all you want. But to understand what I'm trying to teach you here is we have to make a distinction. And so self-esteem in the definition that I want to use right now is going to mean how you value yourself, what regard you hold yourself in, the judgment you have about your self-worth. That's your esteem. But your self-image, and that's what I want to talk about, and that's what I want to focus on, is how you see yourself, the image of yourself you can project, the hats that you can see yourself wearing. Can you see yourself as a father? Can you see yourself as a teacher? Can you see yourself as a garbage man? Can you see yourself as an elected official? Can you see yourself as a dog owner? Can you see the image of yourself doing X, Y, or Z? That's your self-image, and it has nothing to do with your self-esteem. Whether you see yourself as a father or not has nothing to do with how you, it doesn't have to have anything to do with how you value yourself, good or bad. It's just, can you see yourself doing that thing? Can you see yourself wearing that hat? Can you see the image of yourself doing that thing? And that's where I want to stay focused. I want to go very far away from all of the value and the judgment and the worth. That's a different that's a different topic. That's not what I want to talk about here. What I want to talk about is if you want to do things that are hard and that are difficult and that stretch you, first, you have to create an image of yourself doing that. Your self-image has to include that thing. So for me, the first time I really encountered this was benching 600. And I struggled to bench 600 well after my body was prepared to do it. And I believe that's because I had not created a clear enough image of myself being a 600-pound bencher. And there weren't many in that time. So I fought with the image of myself being a guy that could be that rare, that special. But once I understood that I needed to see myself doing it in my mind or see myself as a person that could do it, the image of myself doing it, then it became doable. But before that, it was very, very hard. So I'm not saying that you can't accomplish great things without creating a self-image that includes that. What I'm saying here is it's a hell of a lot easier if you take the time to do it. So first of all, I want you to unplug from the self-esteem thing and the worth and the judgment and the value. That's not what this is. Now you can include that too, and I think that's super important as well, but that's for that's for another video or something. This is about just taking the first step of making sure that you can create in your head the image and the picture of you doing that thing. In my case, I had to create the picture of me benching 600 pounds. I had to have that as part of the things that I could see myself doing, the image of myself that I had. And I didn't have it at first, and boy, it was hard. I'm not saying that once you create the image of yourself being, the president of your glee club or high school class, that happens for you. But what I am saying is it's a lot more likely that it will. And it is unlikely that those things will happen if you don't include them in your self-image. And that's because your subconscious will fight you. If you don't have the image of yourself in your mind doing that thing, being a fireman, then every time you try to do it, your subconscious will be going against you because it doesn't see that for you. So you have to convince that inside first. You have to change your inside self-image before the outside image can begin to reflect it. It starts on the inside. So, how we go about that, there are different ways to do it. But if you don't recognize the importance of getting onto that track and changing the way you see yourself, the image you have of yourself, not how you regard yourself, not your value, just simply, can you see yourself being that thing? A fireman, a garbage man, a mother, a tennis player, a golfer, whatever, jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. You need to see that first as part of yourself, as your image of you. Then it becomes much more likely that your subconscious will begin to help you become that thing. Super valuable, super important, and super simple and overlooked. I overlooked it for a long time. I tried to accomplish things without seeing myself, without having the image of myself first. And then I changed it and things got easier. Once I created the image of myself doing it first, then things became a lot easier. So this could be related to your self-worth and your self-esteem. And I think in the end it should be, but it doesn't have to be. And I think it can stand alone as a technique. And I'll give you more about that later. But just you have to embrace this idea first. If I don't see myself doing it inside my own head, then it's going to be tough for me to actually do it. No matter how bad I want it and how bad I say I want it, if I don't see it first inside, my self-image, the image of myself doing it, I think you're going to fight yourself every step of the way. So first come to grips with the value of doing that. And then, without getting into a very detailed discussion of it, just daydream about it. Just daydream about seeing yourself doing it over and over again, like a kid would. And that's a start. That's a start. So you can dissociate your self-worth and your self-esteem from your self-image. They can be two totally different things, or you can do what's even better and synthesize them together. But it starts with the self-image, and it starts on the inside. So give that some thought, and see if you can close your eyes and see yourself doing the thing that you're trying to do. If that's not there, you need to work on that.